So my friends from Appetite magazine and Celebrity Mom magazine have contacted me to ask me if I could do a couple of dishes to feature in their magazine. And the topic is comfort food. Comfort food is that type of food that sort of puts its arms around you and just gives you a big hug. So I'm really, really excited about that. So the first dish I'm going to make is a cottage pie. My mother used to make for me when I was a kid. Ground beef, really nice mashed potato on top, and then you bake it in the oven. The next dish I'm gonna make is beef and mushroom pie. I can remember as a kid going to my grandma's house and she used to make chicken pies. And I used to fill all of the sort of pastry cases for her. So that reminds me of my grandmother, it reminds me of good times. And then the last dish I'm gonna make is a really sort of hearty soup with chickpeas, chorizo, red onion, red pepper. And it's a really nice sort of dish for a really rainy day. So I'm just gonna finish my breakfast and then we'll get cracking on the cottage pie. Okay, so the first dish we're gonna make is cottage pie. Now this dish holds so many good memories for me as a kid. My mom used to make this for us. I always used to ask her to make this. There's something about cottage pie that really sort of makes me feel like I'm a kid. It sort of makes me happy. And this is exactly why I've picked this dish to go into my ultimate comfort food. We've got our onions, our garlic, and our carrots chopped. We're just gonna fry them off and then fry off our ground beef. All our onions, our garlic, and our carrots have been sort of roughly chopped. There's nothing neat about this dish. So oil goes in, get a pan on medium-high heat, and just gonna saute this until it's all sort of really nice and soft. Because the onions, carrots, and garlic have gone in. Now, there's no hard and fast rule when it comes to what vegetable goes into it. I've seen people put peas inside their cottage pie. There's no, this goes, but this doesn't. This is just how my mother used to make it. Carrots, onions, and garlic. So that's on a nice sort of medium-high heat. It's now time to get our ground beef brown. So again, when it comes to the ground beef, I really like to use ground sirloin just because it has really good flavor. It has the perfect amount of fat content for a cottage pie. Then there's one more important thing to go in here, and that's Worcestershire sauce. That's gonna give it a sort of a really nice, meaty flavor. And I think, to me, that's what makes cottage pie and shepherd's pie sort of stand out, is a good glug of Worcestershire sauce. Okay, so once we've strained the potatoes, we've gotten rid of all the water. I put it back onto the heat just to dry the potato out. Sometimes potatoes soak up a lot of water, and when you strain them and then mash them, you end up with a lot of sort of water inside your mash, and it's not gonna make it fluffy, it's not gonna make it light, it'll sort of turn out like wallpaper paste. So we just get it back on the heat, there's no water, and we're just gonna turn it around, and that's just gonna dry the potato out. And then for the cottage pie, I like to grate just a little bit of Parmesan in, just to sort of give it a little different dimension of salt. That's also going to help to brown it really nicely when it goes in the hot oven. Okay, so the mash now is the perfect consistency for us to pipe it on. You don't want to add salt if it doesn't need it. Do with a little bit more. Right, so the first thing we have to get on when we make our beef and mushroom pie is our short crust pastry. Now, if somebody says short crust pastry, it means that it contains a lot of butter and is very, very crumbly. There's no eggs in this pastry, so it's not gonna rise. It's just gonna sort of stay and become really, really crispy. The first thing we have to do is we have to get 250 grams of all-purpose flour. And then to the flour, we add about a teaspoon of salt, and then we add 1 full teaspoon of sugar. This is actually a trick that my grandmother taught me. It's getting really hard butter into pastry. Okay, so now that all the butter is sort of grated in, you can see the butter is still really nice and cold. And the main thing with this is we need to make this pastry from start to finish when our butter is cold. Once our butter heats up, it turns to a liquid, we're just gonna be left with a greasy mess. Now, because there's a lot of fat in there, there's a lot of butter, we need just a little bit of acidity just to cut through all of that fat. And here I've got half a teaspoon of white wine vinegar. And that's perfect, you can see there. It still has the little cracks in, and that's gonna make it really buttery and really rich. So wrap it up, put it in the fridge for about an hour, just to relax and settle. And that's how easy it is to make pastry. Right, so now it's time for the big boys of the pie filling. I got mushrooms and I have beef. Now, when I use mushrooms for my pie, I like to use something that has a very low water content. So I like to use the brown button mushrooms. I find they're a lot firmer, they're not gonna fall apart, and they're also not gonna leak out a lot of liquid. And that could be a major issue when it comes to actually making the pie or baking it. If you have something that holds a lot of water and then you bake it, all that water's gonna come out, you're gonna have a very sort of watery pie filling. So these are the best, in my opinion. Okay, so that's all of the mushrooms cut. Now for the beef. I like to use the tenderloin just because it's very tender. It's not gonna take forever to cook. There's not a lot of fat inside, so I control how much fat goes into my filling. If you use a fatty cut of meat, you're gonna have to stand there and trim off a lot of fat. Here, I know there's 0 fat. I control how much olive oil or how much butter I put into my mix. So again, sticking with a really nice chunky theme of our pie, I want to get them into sort of really nice man-sized chunks. Garlic has been chopped, our mushrooms chopped, our beef has been sort of diced up. Now it's time to fry everything, get them really brown to give us that intense flavor to our pie. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Then have to add a little bit of butter. Now, the butter and the flour we're gonna add later is what's gonna thicken up this filling for our pie. Okay, so now our onions and our garlic are sitting on a nice low heat. They're just gonna sit there, and I'm just gonna add some dried rosemary. We have to create sort of really nice, beefy, robust flavor to this pie. Okay, so this is a very, very important part of the pie filling, is browning the meat. And when you make this, try and take a little bit of time extra just to make sure that all of the sides of the beef are nice and brown. We don't want to overcrowd the pan, because if we get the pan really hot and we throw a lot of cold things into the pan, it's going to cool the pan down considerably, right? Little batches at a time, spend a little time browning. It's going to make all the difference to the pie filling. And this doesn't just go for the pie filling, this goes for any sort of stew that you make, spaghetti. Really sort of get that ground beef really brown. It'll make it a lot richer. So now we've got this really sort of nice brown color on our meat. That's really sort of sealed in all of the juices. All that brown color is going to run into our sauce and make it a lot more richer. We're going to make a roux with the butter and all of the juices that's gone in. So we're probably looking at about 2 tablespoons of flour. We just want to really cook all of the flour flavor out. And that, again, is going to give us more color to our filling. Okay, so now really good quality beef stock has gone in. And now we just stir it and just let the beef stock thicken up. Our pastry has been in the fridge now for about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's really sort of chilled, it's relaxed. Now it's time to roll it out. This is chilled down. Now, the most important thing about a meat pie is a good ratio of sauce to meat. When you bite into a pie, you don't really want all sauce. You don't want all meat. You want a really sort of good balance. Okay, so now we just have to take this egg wash and just brush it on the inside, pretty much all over. This egg wash is going to act as a glue to stick the top and the bottom together. Okay, so now that we have the tops on, and just make sure that they sort of sealed nicely. Again, really soft fingers. Just make sure that it's sealed nicely all over. And now it's time to take a very sharp knife and just trim the edges up. It's going to make it look like a real English pie. Okay, so now that we've crimped the edges, a very, very important thing when you make pie is you need to make a little incision in the top of the pastry. We're just going to open it up like this, and that is just going to allow any steam to come out. Right, so for the next dish is a really hearty soup that consists of red peppers, bacon and chorizo, red onions, and garlic, white wine, and then passata. This is a perfect dish on a sort of rainy day with a bit of chunky bread. First thing we have to do is we have to get everything chopped. So red pepper first. Okay, so now that our pan is really nice and hot, you want to get the chorizo in. We want to brown it very, very quickly. There's no need for oil. There's enough oil in the chorizo. Now, we don't want the oil in our soup because it's going to make it greasy. So all I want to do is I want to strain the oil from the chorizo. Okay, so the chorizo is brown. We strained all of the fat, and now we're going to do exactly the same to the bacon. And now we got our peppers and our garlic. We don't want any color on this. We just want to soften it. Now it's time to add the white wine. We're just going to add maybe about 1 cup of white wine. Very, very, very important is that we really cook out the white wine until there's no more liquid left. And what this white wine is going to do, when it reduces, it's going to lend a little bit of sweetness to our soup, which is going to counterbalance with the spiciness of the chorizo and the smokiness of the bacon. Okay, so we're just going to add chicken stock, and we'll leave that to simmer just until the potatoes are cooked, until the red pepper's cooked, and then right at the end, we'll just add our cooked chickpeas to it, and that's the soup pretty much done. Hey guys, how are you? I'm good. How was traffic? Good? Excellent. Are you? Food's almost ready.
Great.
Good to see you.
Can't wait.
Hi, good to see you again. Hey, buddy. How are you? You good?
Yeah.
Right, the food's almost ready. Be ready in about 20 minutes. Yeah? Cool. Right, so the first one we've got is a very sort of cottage pie. See the mashed potatoes sort of soaked up all of that sauce.
That looks comforting.
That looks very comforting, right? Okay, let's try and get the bubbles and everything. You want me to scoop some out?
Yes.
Let me get a spoon for you. Wow. Wow, it's really sort of nice and saucy. Feeling a little bit down. As any food can sort of really pick your spirits up, right?
Yes.
And this is it. Exactly what this dish does for me. It sort of picks me up. When I'm in a bad mood, I have a bowl of this, and the whole world is okay, right? Yeah. Right, so there's the beef and mushroom pie. Now, this is a very English pie, right? It's been a while since I got to play a round of golf. Next week, I'll have a relaxing time on the golf course and have the boys enjoy a few of my favorite tapas. To get the recipes from the show, check out my website, markettomaster.com. And if you want to see behind the scenes and latest updates, follow us on Facebook and Twitter.